so cringe that people in social situations try to convince me that Diet Coke and Coke Zero are just as same and just as bad as regular Coke. The only thing I have for those people is empathy, because I really think that those people have a fear of missing out and they want to feel that they're not alone in their self-sabotaging journey. But for now, I'm just gonna continue drinking my Coke Zero in all social situations. Back to the channel, my name is Harsh Patel, and in this video we will be comparing sugary sodas, aka regular Coke, and diet sodas, Diet Coke and Coke Zero. First claim that people make is Diet Coke and Coke Zero are the same as regular Coke. How about we just look at the nutrition labels of all the Coke products that are available? When we look at the labels, only 0-calorie options are Diet Coke and Coke Zero. That means they don't have any calories. They don't have any energy. So your body does not register those amounts. It doesn't play into your energy balance equation compared to regular Coke, which in a bottle, it has 240 calories, mainly coming from 65 grams of sugar. So is it the same? Technically, it's not the same. The next thing is the ingredient list, right? The people will jump on, oh, look at the ingredient list, aspartame. The ingredient list, we can see it's pretty much similar. The only difference is the substitution of high fructose corn syrup to aspartame when we are going from regular Coke to artificial sweetened Coke. And the other chemicals in Coke Zero and Diet Coke are same as regular Coke. In the artificial options, they're using aspartame. In the regular Coke, they're using high fructose corn syrup. And what's interesting about this is there is a review done in 2006 by Malik and colleagues. Well, they looked at the intake of sugary sweetened beverages and weight gain. And what they found was people who ingested these zero sugar sodas are much more likely to be obese and overweight than people who are not. So what this tells me is, if you are overweight and if you are obese and if you have a sugary soda addiction, by just simply cutting that out, or even better, replacing it with zero sugar options, artificially sweetened options, you will see improvements in your body mass, in your body weight, and maybe in your body composition, depending on what you do. But when we look at high fructose corn syrup, okay, in regular Coke, high fructose corn syrup is one of the most addictive chemicals that the food manufacturers will use. And whenever you go to a restaurant, whenever you order a regular Coke, that 16 ounce of glass will have around 150 calories. And if you get a refill, that's 300 calories. A person who has maintenance calories of about 2,000 calories, that's about 15% of their calories just by drinking regular Coke. Now just imagine if you switch that out with Coke Zero or Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi or Pepsi Zero, you're saving 300 calories. That means those 15% are not coming out from your maintenance. Okay? It's not playing into your energy balance. So just think about that for a second. It's so easy to overconsume on highly addictive chemicals like high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup can give you an elevated risk of obesity, diabetes, and other metabolic diseases and disorders. In fact, there was a meta-analysis done back in 2016 where they asked, well, does low-calorie sweetener consumption affect energy intake and body weight? And I covered this in the podcast, the recent podcast, the episode 15 of the Patel Perspective. And what they found was that people who consumed artificial sweetened drinks, they had improvements in body weight, even though it was not significant, compared to the control group who didn't. And since this is a meta-analysis, it took an average of multiple different studies. And I have talked about this in the podcast again. And what this says is replacing sugary drinks with artificial sweetener drinks is a great tool. It's a psychological tool and it's a physical tool to continue on the weight loss journey. Second thing is cancer. There are cancer causing ingredients in zero sugar drinks, and that's what people say. Okay, let's look at the aspartame levels inside a 12-ounce Diet Coke or Coke Zero. Okay, so a 12-ounce Diet Coke will have about 200 milligrams of aspartame. A 12-ounce Coke Zero will have about 100 milligrams. The FDA has set the acceptable daily intake of aspartame to 50 milligram per kilogram of body weight. What this means is a person who weighs 50 kilogram needs to have about 2,500 milligram of aspartame to violate that intake. Acceptable daily intake is an estimate of the amount of a substance in food or drinking water that can be consumed daily over a lifetime without presenting an appreciable risk to health. That is about 25 cans of Coke Zero a day. And that is about 12 and a half cans of Diet Coke a day. That's a lot of cans. Even if you have 1 or 2 cans every day, it's not even close to the ADI. You can hate on FDA. You might have personal problems with FDA. I don't. So I'm not gonna say, okay, I'll have 10 cans a day, but I'm gonna say, okay, I'll have maybe 1 can when I'm craving a soda. Even if it's every day, even if it's a few times a week, even if it's a couple times a week, I'll have 1 can for my cravings. Long 5-year study done in Spain where they seek to assess the cancer risk from artificial sweeteners, and they found what we're talking about. Overall, they did not observe anything that was detrimental. In fact, the people who were diabetic in the group, they had an increased risk of stomach cancer, but they were already diabetic. For normal people, this is good news because so far research has not shown negative impacts of artificial sweetened sodas on health. And lastly, they also questioned this in the US population. What they found was, again, this is very interesting. The risk of getting cancer was much higher from obesity than sugary sweetened drinks and artificially sweetened beverages. We need further study in this topic, in artificial sweetener realm, to really solidify that artificially sweetened beverages are more harmful or not. So in conclusion, if artificially sweetened sodas help you lose weight, go for it. Nothing wrong. You have to have a sense of what is overconsumption of artificially sweetened sodas. We all know that overconsuming regular Coke will elevate your risk for obesity, diabetes, and other metabolic diseases. You need to know what is moderation. Are you going to drink cans closer to the ADI? No, you will not drink 25 cans a day. That's physically probably not possible. But am I going to drink 10, 5? No. Maybe the upper limit is 3 or 4. Okay, for in terms of drinking Coke Zero and Diet Coke. And so you need to know what is your max and what is overdoing it. Again, obesity is the risk factor, the root problem for innumerable diseases. Anyone on social media who sells you that something else is the root problem, they want your money. They will sell something to combat whatever problem they are highlighting. Cancer is number one on the list that you can get from obesity. If you lose weight, you lower the risk of cancer. Therefore, saying Coke Zero and Diet Coke will give you cancer is completely illogical. If you are overweight and obese and if you're making these claims, you are more likely at a risk to get cancer from your obese state than simply having 2 to 3 servings of Diet Coke or Coke Zero. Lastly, you have a problem if you consume diet soda or regular soda like you drink water. And so that's my conclusion. I hope you like this video. I hope to catch you in more evidence-based videos. Thank you.